On this week's episode of the Vero Beach Social Media Pop-Up Podcast, we have Vic Diaz and Curtis Paulison talking about all the great things that they're doing for veterans in our community. And we also have a special guest appearance from Lee Olson, who shot this live on location at Waldo's, probably the most beautiful place we've ever shot a podcast. Give it a listen. You're going to love it. I guarantee it. Here we go. All right, everybody, welcome to another episode of the Vero Beach Social Media Pop-Up Podcast. I am Curtis Carpenter. I'm here with another Curtis Paulison, and we're here with Vic Diaz. And you guys are veterans that are trying to help veterans.
Correct.
All right. And beautiful day here. We're at Waldo's. We're shooting away from the ocean, but I'm looking at the ocean, and I probably won't take my eyes off of it the entire podcast here. It's just so nice out here. So thank you to Lee and to Waldo's for letting us shoot out here. But how are you guys doing today?
Good.
Yeah?
Yeah, staying busy, getting ready for some big functions that we got going on.
I know you got a big golf tournament coming up.
We do.
Let's talk. So how we're going to do this, we'll talk about the golf tournament, and then we'll go into what it benefits and how you guys are helping veterans. So when is this golf tournament?
Sure. I've always had, this is the 7th year for the golf tournament, and since its inception, we probably made over $400,000 to $500,000, give or take, within kind. To help our veterans. It's on June 18th. I do it the day before Father's Day every year.
Smart.
Purposely thinking the wives will let the men come on out, not have a hard time, and go. Well, when we first started it, we got maybe 70 golfers. After the third year, it got so big that the county actually shuts down Sandridge and gives us both courses. And due to the fact that they can't handle with their clubhouse the luncheon afterward, we also get the state fairgrounds for our luncheon afterward.
Man.
And the county's great. But it is June 18th at Sandridge. It's a scramble. It's a 08 start. Check-ins at 07, which would be 7 o'clock in the morning for those
all you civvies out
civilians.
there.
Yeah, exactly. And last year we had 260 golfers.
260. Oh my God! And you started with 70 the first year.
Started with
Largest
70.
tournament Sandridge ever had.
That's insane. So how many foursomes is that? I mean, that's
65 if
are
you
you
do the
doubling
math.
up on every hole? I mean,
Well, almost.
yeah. Wow.
1.5 because we gotta, it's got to keep the flow going. Obviously.
I'm sure those par threes, they don't want two guys on. Or two
No,
teams
and
on.
Bella is great to us. The pro over there.
Yeah, Bella Nagy, great guy.
Yeah, excellent guy.
Yeah.
And then Tommy Charan's out on Route 60 Hyundai. He gives us a car. We got a car for a hole-in-one on the Dunes course. And then on the Lakes course, which is the water course, we have a $10,000 hole-in-one prize.
So you can win a car or $10,000 with a hole-in-one.
Depending on what course you're on.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Wow.
Yeah.
All right. So how does somebody sign up? I want to play golf. How do I play?
Sure. You can I can give you a telephone number. You can do it this way. Curtis Paulison, 772-538-2484, or
VVIRC.org/events. That allows them to go right on and sign up and pay at the same time, which is pretty easy. And it gives us a good control over the flow of the golfers.
Okay.
Because we both get, once somebody does that, we both get an email, and we know, so we can keep the foursomes lined up as they come in. So we know how much room. We can't oversell it. That's not allowed. So
261 golfers can't have that.
No, it's 288.
Oh.
that's going to be our max.
288 is the max on it, and that's our goal this year. So all you golfers out there, come help support this golf tournament, because every bit of money stays in Indian River County and goes to help the veterans in Indian River County. That's all veterans in Indian River County.
Well, that's what I want to touch on next. Is you guys have tons of fundraisers, and we're talking about the golf tournament because it's coming up. But talk about where that money goes and who it helps.
Well, for the last 14 years, VVIRC, and in the last 3 years with Veterans of Indian River County, we have been able to create roughly 30 beds for homeless veterans, plus house veterans who receive grants from the VA/HUD, and they get their own apartment. We help furnish that apartment with everything they need to get on with their life. It also helps us, we have an office that we file claims with. And of course, we need supplies and such. But we also do Veterans Court. Veterans Courts allows veterans who get arrested for a third-degree felony or less to be able to come into Vet Court program, and if they complete the program, their charges are dismissed. Because if they don't, they probably go to jail, but that's our goal, is to keep them off there, and we have to help support them also as mentors. Helping keeping them on the straight and narrow, in some case housing them. So those are a lot of the programs that we participate in. And over the last, I would say 14 years, we probably brought into Indian River County in excess of $15 million from claims won. We've been kind of the last resort. People come to us after they've been denied by the VA. We've learned very well by reading the VA's manuals and stuff. We've learned how to prosecute the cases in a manner that the VA has to stand up and listen. And usually they get up going to get denied on the first couple levels and end up at the Board of Veteran Appeals, and lo and behold, they win. I've had 3 cases this week that they've won and received in back payments over $135,000.
That's wild.
It is.
Yeah, so we've got a ton of veterans groups in Indian River County, and it, it's funny, you think, oh, well, there's all these groups, obviously the veterans are being taken care of, but I guess that's not necessarily the case. I mean, there's a lot of people that, like you said, have claims denied by the VA or are homeless, or we were talking before the podcast started, one of you was saying that there was somebody that was living 3 years in a home without water.
Correct.
And didn't have any help, and you guys were able to help them.
Right. We had another one just the other day. A Marine was evicted from his mobile home, had no place to go, has no income. Fortunately, we had one small room open, so we brought him in. We bought whatever we could store for him at our house on 955 Old Dixie, which was the first one we started out with 4 beds. It's still running now 8 years later. And, so we were able to get him in there. Curtis and I are also veterans advocate. I had a guy who came back from the VA, and an hour later he's paralyzed. He goes to the hospital, they do emergency surgery, and now he's paralyzed from the neck down. Well, his family calls, and they're all upset. They don't think he's being treated correctly. They say, well, the nurses are being rude to him. They're caught saying he's rude to them. And so I go up and I try to smooth the feathers. I talk to the nurse and say, you have to understand, this man has a VA disability that is he has real bad anxiety. So yeah, he's going to react. The man can't move. He can hardly talk. So yeah, he's probably going to yell at you to try to get your attention. And thankfully, they were very receptive to that. But that's kind of the stuff that Curtis and I do. We advocate for veterans in need.
And you were saying, Curtis, too, that there's so many different organizations within Indian River County. Granted, there's a lot of different organizations for veterans, but in reality, there's only 2 or 3 or 4 that actually really do stuff that really needs to be done. In fact, Vic and I used to be on the Veterans Council. I was the vice president of the Veterans Council. I had some great people working with me. You might even know one, Chris Manson. Excellent lady.
The one viewer and listener to this podcast.
Okay, well, hi, Chris. The one thing that, even though there's about 4 or 5 that actually do, listen, the Veterans Council does some great things. I'm happy with some of the programs. Most of the programs that they have, me and Vic put in. We instituted those programs, and I'm not trying to pat ourselves on the back. But
no, I mean, a good deed deserves, some.
Well, the main thing is I like to keep, like with Vic and I, our overhead maybe is 5 to 7%.
Right.
That's it, 5 to 7. But when you get into different, and I'm not naming names, okay, but when you get into different organizations where they got 38, 40% overhead, to me, that's not a 501c3.
Right. We were actually just talking about that on the ride over here. I have a friend of mine whose wife was the CEO of the company that owned Blue Cross Blue Shield of Illinois and Michigan and Iowa and all these different Blue Cross companies, but they were considered a nonprofit. She was making like $15 million a year. And I was like, okay, well.
Can you give us that phone number?
Now I see why the business isn't making any money.
Wow.
Because it's all going to the executives. But and obviously that's an anomaly. That's not all nonprofits.
Sure.
But so I know that there's next-gen vets, and I know that there's Vietnam vets, and I know that there are different groups for all of these different types of veterans. Do you guys, with this golf benefit, does it support a specific type of veteran, or just anybody that served?
Anybody that served that is honorably discharged.
Okay.
Okay. Obviously, if a veteran calls me, and if he got a bad discharge or a medical discharge or other than honorable, right. And I feel for the guy because everybody makes mistakes.
Sure.
Okay. And if I'm going to help, I'm going to help him. Even if it's out of my own pocket sometimes. Right. But any vets that are honorably discharged, we're there to help. And we can go on a one-by-one basis, which we have, because we have emergency funding also,
sure.
Besides just the homes, because we have a lot of them say, oh, my refrigerator went, I got 3 kids in the house, blah, blah, then we find a way to do it. And the good thing is I do work with the next gen. Mm-hmm. Vic works with the next gen. I work with the Vietnam vets, but I'm the president of the Veterans of Indian River County.
Right.
And, but to me, we have to have a collaboration. And that's the one thing that I express no matter where I speak or if I'm doing a private function or a speaking engagement. Collaboration is the one thing, because we're all working here for the same goal.
Now, are there issues with collaboration with the other veterans groups, or does everybody kind of work pretty well together?
Keep and understand. You know what? I, too, was on the executive board of the Veterans Council. Well, you know what? That means I have to serve 2 masters. I have to serve and help the Veterans Council raise money, and I have to help our group raise money. And that becomes a conflict at times. So when our group decided to detach from the Veterans Council, it was for that reason. We needed to we're not a large organization. We maybe have 50 members, and we got to hustle for every dollar that we can raise to help the veterans of Indian River County, which is our mission is different than the Veterans Council mission in many ways. They go out and they get Impact 100 grants to help veterans whose homes are damaged and stuff, to help them fix their homes and things of that nature. And that's all well and good. We don't have the money to do that. Do we have the money to help pay an electric bill or get somebody's car repaired? This vet I told you about, the Marine vet from the other day, well, his truck has been broke down in the driveway for months. The battery's dead, his water pump's gone and everything else. I called my auto repair place. They picked it up. They'll have it repaired by Wednesday. We will pay for that repair. It's $800. We've spent over $2,000 helping people get their cars repaired because they needed them or they couldn't go out and get a job, which is a catch-22.
Right.
So those are the things that Curtis and our group, Curtis' group and our group do. And that's, kind of where the rubber meets the road. We're engaged every single day helping veterans of Indian River County. And we will be, I'm not bragging, but I'll be 74 in a couple of months. So I'm kind of getting up there, as with most of the other guys in the group. We're trying to bring the younger group in to teach them how to file claims correctly, to teach them how we spend our money to help veterans. And that's where we're at. And it's a struggle every day, but we have a mission. And I'm an old Marine, he's old Army. We know about operational plans and we know about missions, and we don't stop until our mission is complete.
So I want to talk a little bit about how you guys actually got into helping veterans. Curtis, you and I were talking. You moved here in 1985 and then went into the service in '89. Let's talk a little bit about when you got out, what you did, and then what got you into helping veterans.
Sure. Well, I got out I actually went in the Army, got out, and then went back in active duty. I got my degree. I was a nurse. My second time I went back in, I was an actual nurse. And when I got in there, the first time, it was the war, and I got out of the war. It was Desert Storm. I came back, I got discharged, and we used to have a National Guard unit down here in Vero Beach, right at the South County line, right over there. That used to be a National Guard unit. So I joined that unit. And I thought, this is going to be a breeze. I don't have to get deployed. Boom. A month later, Hurricane Andrew hits. They shipped me down to Miami for about 3, 4, 5 months. I can't remember how long, quite a while. And I saw some of the guys that were in the unit that were struggling. And I'm like, God, there's got to be an easier way. Well, then I went back in 95 and got out. I got injured in Kuwait. The Kuwaiti doctors operated on the wrong leg on me.
Oh, my
gosh. And then when I got back to Fort Hood, they screwed up my correct leg, and it was a big mess. So I got discharged. They sent me to Fort Stewart. So I got out, and in between that period of time, luckily I had a little bit of money. And I'd already had a career because they called me the old man because I joined the military. I was 24. But a lot of the guys and girls that are coming back out and transitioning, sometimes it takes 18 months to 2 years to even get any type of benefit from the VA. So I started seeing it, and my father-in-law used to run the Italian American War veterans. So he kept bugging me saying, hey, come join us. And I'm thinking, these old guys sitting there drinking beer, smoking cigars, at 9 o'clock in the morning or whatever. But it wasn't like that. And I met some great people. I actually, believe it or not, became the Italian American War Veterans president.
Paulson, that's a good Italian name.
Yeah, perfect Italian name. But my little wife, she's pure Italian. So I enjoyed it. We did a lot of good things, and I got to meet some great people, one of them being Vic, and started working. And then they asked me to come to the Veterans Council. I said, yeah, I'll do it. And then I started seeing some of the great things that we could do to help these vets, and then how grateful they were. And then even the ones finally that get something, they come back and they give back in a couple of years. Say, hey, just like Jason Patzer, a lot of these guys that need a little bit of help and a hand up, I should say, not a handout. And so I felt it was the correct thing to do, and I've been doing it ever since.
That's great. How about you, Vic? How did you get into this?
Well, I got into it. I got out. I got discharged from the Marine Corps after about 6 years. I had got blown out of a helicopter in Vietnam and messed my ankle up pretty good. I got medevaced, and I came home, and after I get discharged, my ankle was in bad shape. I filed for disability. Well, I'm going to fast forward 30 years later. I'd had finally got my 100% permanent total for injuries received in Vietnam. I have the ankle got. Finally, a doctor finally found out what was wrong with my ankle. It tore the ligaments and tendons, and I was that way for 25 years. And I worked for a while. Then my heart, I started having problems with my heart. Well, I'm boots on the ground Vietnam combat Marine. So we know all about Agent Orange by now. So I ended up getting diabetes. I ended up with a triple bypass. And I was living in California at the time, and my wife was ill, and I was put out on disability. I moved to Oregon, and I started hearing all these stories about vets not getting their benefits and stuff like that. So I got together with a couple other ones, and we formed Southwest Oregon Veterans Outreach. And we started filing claims on their behalf and trying to get them homeless, getting them housed and stuff. And we started having some success. Well, my wife passed away, and then years later, I reconnected with my first love from Long Island, New York. We dated for a couple of years.
I would have never imagined you were from New York with that accent.
Yeah, I know.
I was just going to say, I thought it was a Marine
we ended up moving to Florida in 2008 because I didn't know anybody. And I hooked up with a guy by the name of Mike Bodner. We were doing Toys for Tots at the time. And we started talking about doing claims. And then a friend of mine who lived in my development, Tim Nightingale, I met him, and I filed a claim for him. And he wanted to be interested in filing a claim. So we got together and we started forming another chapter of Vietnam Vets of America. We stayed with them for a few years, but once again it was a struggle because it was a bureaucratic organization. Most of the money goes up to national and the else. That wasn't our cup of tea. So we broke away from that and formed Vietnam Vets of Indian River County. And we got some office donated to us, and gradually we kept building. I met Curtis. Curtis came along on the journey with us. Somebody needed to come to us, and we'd help out. Now we have 8 service officers, an attorney who's accredited with the VA. We're on the process of becoming accredited with the VA, which would help streamline our claims process. And I told you, those are only 3 of the many several thousand that we've dealt with over the last 14 years to help. And with the homeless vet the homeless vet and the claims have been our biggest programs. So that's kind of how we're at. You know what? Our job is, like I said, to help those who have borne the price for our freedom. And we're not going to give up on the mission. I'd be remiss if I didn't give a shout out to two things. Judge Menz, who's the judge of the vet court, which I told you helps give a veteran another chance if he gets arrested for a minor offense. She is a very compassionate and caring judge and a very fair judge. And also I need to remind everybody that on Father's Day we have our second fundraiser of the weekend, which is a car show at the Vero Beach Elks, which has grown tremendously in support of our organization.
So you have the golf tournament on Saturday and then the car show on Sunday.
It's an exhausting weekend, let me tell you.
You couldn't put the car show on another weekend. You couldn't do that.
No, we've been doing it for the last 11 years at the Elks on Father's Day, and the wives have been very okay with us. You know, they'll come have lunch with us, but it's a very, very wonderful and happy weekend. The golfers all are very happy with the program we put on. You know, we're all out. Curtis is out hustling for prizes. I'm out hustling. We have several other members. But keep in mind, our organizations thrive because new members join us. We still got the old folks joining our organization. But we're now also starting to see some of the younger ones come. We have a gal who's our program director, Nicole O'Neill. She's like an Energizer bunny. If they're out there, she's going to find them, and she's going to want us to help. And we can't always help, so we call Curtis.
Yeah,
Can you help with this? Can you help with that? You know.
Well, you know, one good thing, when I was with the Veterans Council, I used to run the transportation department, which would take our veterans from here down to West Palm Beach for their appointments and stuff like that. So I got to know a lot of people down in West Palm. In fact, West Palm comes up here for our golf tournament. We have about 8, 9, 10 people, doctors and different people that actually come up to go play in this tournament. Incredible. And in fact, the past administrator of the West Palm Beach that used to run the hospital is on my board, Donna Caton Behensky. She just ended up retiring and moved to Vero. Her and I started talking, and now she's on my board with the veterans of Indian River County.
Great.
So that's one of the good things, is that Vic got to know a lot of people from HUD and a lot of people from the Homeless Coalition, be it Louise or whoever that's in here. And we got to know people, and then when we start talking to them, they understand that, hey, we're here because of our hearts. You know, not for notoriety, not to see you can get their name in a newspaper.
Right.
It's because we're here to help veterans.
Well, a couple of things that I'd like to touch on. First of all, I know Judge Menz personally.
Yeah.
She's a tremendous human being, not just a judge.
Yes, she is.
I'm telling you, she is one of the greatest people I've ever met, personally. Also, we have a girl that works with us, Ashley Duval. She's a veteran. She was in the Coast Guard, and she has horror stories from the VA. So she's actually on vacation this week, or else she would have been here. But I need to get her in touch with you guys, and she'll see this podcast and all that, because of course she'll be in the office. But I think it would be good for her to talk to you guys, and maybe she can share some of the stories that she's told me, and maybe she can help you guys help somebody, because you're talking about the drug court, you're talking about disability, you're talking about claims. I mean, it seems like it's a mess over there at Veterans Affairs.
Well, you know what it is.
But understand, both of us in our organization couldn't do what we do unless we had partners that can help us take care of all that we need to take care of.
Well, that was my question about the collaboration.
That's it exactly. The collaboration we have with a lot of the organizations in Indian River County directly help others in various ranges, but also help us.
Right.
And one of our biggest collaborators, believe it or not, is the West Palm VA. I get 2 to 3, maybe 4 calls a week. Vic, do you have a homeless bed? Do you have a homeless bed? And they say, well, can we clone you for the other 2 counties? I says, no, I can't handle what I got here with you guys, so no. But that's what, Curtis has a lot of friends down in West Palm. I know I have all the social workers on speed dial, and they had me on speed dial. But that's it, Curtis and I will tell you, without collaboration, we could not do what we do. I mean, the women of the Trillium, once a year, 1 hour, Soup sales, $1,000. The Elks ladies with the Mahjong tournament, $2,000 to $3,000. We get it dollar to dollar. We scrounge for whatever we can and whatever partners we can. One of our biggest partners is the Vero Beach Elks, 1774. They have been a champ with programs, getting grants for programs for veterans, for furnishings, for food. So those need to be mentioned because those are some of our partners, along with the Treasure Coast Homeless Services Council. Curtis and I have known Louise for a lot of years. She's a feisty woman, but
She
tell
is
you
feisty.
what, there's none better than her at doing what she does.
Well, I've always kind of considered myself a Vero Beach evangelist, and not just for the beautiful weather that we're enjoying even today, but it's the business owners. I mean,
I'm
it really
gonna go
is.
with it.
It's the business owners, it's the people like you guys that are helping the veterans, and just like you said, it's a hand up, not a hand out. People need help.
They do.
People need help.
In fact, I wanted to bring one thing up. Vic and I, about 3 or 4 years ago, I read a small article in the paper about this judge in Kentucky. She was getting ready to retire, and she was going to move to Vero Beach. And then she was talking, because she had not moved full-time here yet. She was still in Kentucky getting ready to do her retirement. And so I called her, and I said, I see that you wanted to do some housing in Indian River County for low-income veterans and homeless veterans, I guess. So on Royal Palm Boulevard, there used to be a little Bel Air little motel that's right there at DeSoto. Well, her and her husband bought that whole stretch.
Really?
And so Vic and I started working with her hand in hand, saying, we can do this, we can do that. We went to in front of the city council to get her a variance and everything else, and it's working out great. Now Vic...
Yeah. Well, so it's 20, it started out being a 2-story, 1-bedroom apartment, but with the codes and everything else, and she needed to be done, she couldn't quite get through the process that we have here in Indian River County.
Mm-hmm.
So instead she built 20 units, straight on, efficiency units, which, they're not large, but for a single veteran or a veteran and his wife, they'll be more than adequate. So we're out hustling everything we can to furnish those 20 units. And I have 2 storage units and a trailer. Every bit of it's chock full for that. We're looking for love seats. We're looking for small chairs. She's already had donated beds and TV. And we're going to get everything else that's needed for those units. We'll have all 20 of them furnished, unless we want to leave a couple of them because people who have their own furniture or stuff like that. But that's what we do now. See, we don't always deal with, we don't always partner with nonprofits. She's a for-profit, but she's already approved for HUD-VASH, so she can get to HUD-VASH, and we always have a need for that. We fought for 4.5 years with the VA to get HUD-VASH vouchers in this county. And we just couldn't do successful. So finally we just got a hold of Congressman Posey. He went to the head of the director of HUD, and lo, here comes 15 HUD-VASH grants like that. We housed 31 on the HUD-VASH that year.
Great.
We ran out of HUD-VASH again, and there's other counties that had a bunch of them that they weren't using. So I think Curtis came with me. We went down to West Palm, and we had a meeting with the HUD-VASH people, and they brought the director from Miami up. Mm-hmm. And I said, all due respect, sir, but there's got to be some bureaucrat that can turn the no switch onto a yes switch. Next morning, we got 7 HUD-VASH grants.
Wow.
Yeah, he was great. I mean, that's the kind of communication we continue to have. We don't have to worry about communication with the VA. If we get a complaint, there's something going on where they're not outsourcing the program that the Millennium Act and the program that Trump put in for veterans to have community care. If they're coming up down in West Palm and saying, well, no, you can't go there or anything else, well, that's where Curtis and I get involved. We're Veterans Advocate. We'll call, and usually that resolves. We had a HUD-VASH supervisor who was rather rude. Told one guy, if you don't do what I tell you, I'm going to take your HUD-VASH grant away. Well, that didn't sit well with me when I found out, so I wrote the director about professionalism. That HUD-VAS supervisor is not the sweetest person on the face of the earth with dealing with veterans and the Treasure Coast Homeless Services Council. Another thing we do, I don't know if you know a guy by the name of Sylvester McIntosh.
Yeah.
Yes,
yeah,
Curtis
I met
and
him
I
with Tony, right?
Yeah, Matt.
Right.
Yep.
Well, Curtis and I both, I got an opportunity to talk to his commanding officer. Sylvester walked into the kill zone on 3 different occasions and drug his wounded Marines out with a big gaping hole in his chest from being shot. He ended up in the hospital ship and he recovered and everything else. Well, his bravery was never recognized. And he was at a reunion down in San Diego, and I asked, he put his commanding officer on the line, and I asked her, all due respect, and Semper Fi, but I don't understand why Sylvester his act of bravery wasn't recognized. So he put him in for the Silver Star. Well, that didn't sit well with a lot of us, let me tell you. That was Medal of Honor stuff.
Yeah.
Well, a few months ago, I sent a letter to the White House outlining that we believe this was Medal of Honor. Well, I got a response from the White House. It's being turned over to the appropriate federal agency now. And I'm hoping that at the end of the day, Sylvester is recognized for his bravery, for the Medal of Honor that he deserves.
You want to hear a
Sounds,
story?
wow.
We were at the Memorial Island, and I was talking with Sylvester. He's like, oh, come here, Curtis. I want to introduce you to somebody. So he says, guys in BD, battle dress uniform, desert uniform, and he spins around. It's his son. Me and his son were in the Army together.
Oh my
I said,
gosh.
I know, Charlie. I said, Mac, what's going on, buddy? So that's a small world.
Oh,
But
yeah.
we were in the Army together. I said, I know your son very well. We were in the Army
Right.
together for about 4 years.
Yeah,
So-
Sylvester's super nice guy. I met him through Tony Young,
Oh, yeah?
who I helped when he ran for city council, and he was very involved with the Veterans Council, and a lot of the veterans were involved in his campaign, so I did
Oh,
get to
yeah.
meet a lot of these
Yeah, I
folks.
was too.
Well, that's how I got to meet Curtis.
Yep.
With
Yeah.
Tony.
Yeah.
The one thing I got to say, I think we all know this. It's too bad Lee's not here, but we can't do this without the people from Indian River County.
Yeah.
I mean, we can go ahead and pound, and if we don't get a result, then we don't. But Indian River County is just so caring, so giving. They love our vets as we do, but we could not do it with guys like you.
Oh,
Yeah.
thanks.
And
No,
the
thank you
organization
guys.
and the things
Yeah.
that you've done to help us promote, our cause, and but without them,
Yeah.
we don't get grants from the federal government to
Right.
run our stuff. We have to go out and get it.
Yeah.
Well,
But let's not pass over Lee too much, because
I don't want
Lee-
to. I wanted him to
I
come
know,
over here.
I wanted him to come over here because Lee has been a champion of veteran nonprofits here in Indian River County for a lot of years. I first met him with Toys for Tots. Let me tell you.
Can I grab him?
If you want, is he around?
Yeah.
Well,
Hang on.
yeah, go for
I'll
it.
be right back.
Right.
All right.
He is a champion of veterans' causes. And like I said, it's all about collaboration.
Yeah. Well, like we talked about, without the business owners, without the people that are here to help, just like Curtis said, you can ask, but if nobody says yes, then you don't get anything. In this community, you get a lot of yeses.
Yes, you do.
Yeah.
When I've gone to a number of restaurants, said, "Yep, we're going to participate." And I have some, that are too small that can't, and I understand that. But I'd be remiss if I didn't ask.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's embarrassing to have to ask. I feel, like I'm overstepping. But you know what? I know what we do, and that's why we.
Well, you're not asking for you. I mean, you're asking because you want to help
and
other
I leave
people.
them, we the same documents. We leave them the packet of who we are and what we're about. So it works. It works well.
Well, Curtis went to go see if he could grab Lee because we want to give him some recognition, and we do want to thank him for letting us shoot this podcast here at Waldo's. I'm not sure if he had any luck. I don't know. We'll see when he gets back.
Yeah, we'll see when he gets back.
We are going to have Lee on a podcast. We talked
Yeah.
about doing it possibly at the Words of War, which would be a really cool place, I think, to do
Yeah.
a podcast.
That's-
Is he going to come up here?
Yeah, he's coming
All right,
right
cool.
up. Here he comes now.
Yeah, you want to pull up a chair for him?
Yeah.
We don't have a mic for him, but we'll hear him.
Yeah, my voice carries, so he can.
Yeah. but just in collaboration along with Curtis and.
All right, Lee, come on over and have a seat. These guys were adamant about bringing you on and giving some recognition to you and the Waldos for all the help that you provided for veterans in this county. So we thought it was only fair to bring you on. Again, we're going to interview you. We'll do a podcast with you in the future.
Cool.
But everybody, this is Lee Olson, right?
Yep.
From Waldos. And again, thank you for letting us shoot this here.
Oh, absolutely.
Anything you'd like to say to these guys?
Gave you a pretty good backdrop, didn't
Yeah, I'd say. A good foredrop, too, man. I can't stop looking at this ocean.
Yeah,
But-
there used to be, I'd rather not say the name, but there used to be a guy who did a radio show here on the weekly, stopped years ago. But yeah,
Can't beat the environment, that's for sure.
But you got to love these guys. I mean, they have just done such extraordinary work, especially with the homeless vet population in our county. I mean, to me, it's an unthankable job because it just goes on and on and on. And I hope one day we can just put you all out of work. That would be great.
My wife, our wives would appreciate it. They believe me. Our wives would appreciate it.
And Lee, we couldn't do it without support like you guys that you give us.
I mean, it's not just me. I mean, the one thing that we have here in our small little Vero Beach is just an outpour from the community for veterans and homelessness and children. It just goes on and on. I've lived here 32 years and I couldn't be more proud to be from this town. And as more people come in, we see, more people wanting to get on board and with different organizations like your own where they have bundles of money to spend, and I'm sure you guys are more than happy to take it.
But Lee, we wanted to go on record about how great you have been in supporting veteran issues here since I've known you. I've been here since 2008, and I've never heard you tell a veterans organization no.
Never will.
Right.
I am the son of a veteran.
Yeah.
My dad was in the United States Merchant Marine Academy. In his first 2 years of the academy, he was actually involved in World War II, so he was considered a World War II vet, which was awesome. But, it's just something that came down through the generation. I mean, my dad, he retired at the age of 60 and spent the next 25 years working with Habitat for Humanity and our Presbyterian church in Pittsburgh. He traveled all over the world doing missionary work, and he instilled it in us at a young age. When we were kids, I grew up in Pittsburgh. Our church had a sister church in a very poor town in West Virginia. So right before Christmas, we would have to go through all our stuff, our toys, our clothes, and we had to pack them up. And then my dad put the 6 kids in the station wagon with the rumble seat in the back facing out. That was usually my location. And we would go down to West Virginia and we would deliver these things to the families so they had stuff for Christmas. So it's been going on in my body since a little after birth.
You know what, Lee? I'm on the board for Memorial Island. I'm not sure. I didn't mention that to you before. But we just got a new, beautiful wall out there. Why don't you talk a little bit about how you helped out with having the fundraiser here?
I think it was Next Gen that came to me, and it was when it was still it was an etching, and they were like, "Hey, we want to do this," and I'm like, "Okay, well, why don't we have the inaugural fundraising start here at our charity bar?" And a lot of times you get donations from my customers, but what's most importantly on a Saturday or Sunday afternoon when I have you guys here is public awareness. That's it. You get a little money at the charity bar and stuff, but it's the awareness of the community stopping by your table, maybe dropping a couple bucks in or buying a beer or whatever the case may be. But that was the launching point to get the public awareness out there of this great wall. I mean, it was an honor to be invited to the ribbon cutting, and I've been over there several times. It's such a reflection spot now in Riverside Park. If you haven't been there to see the wall, it's located on the east side of Memorial Island. As you approach the loop, you'll see it on the left-hand side, and I highly recommend people, anybody who has a veteran, but especially in these last, you don't want to call them wars, but whatever we were doing in Afghanistan and Iraq and
Conflicts.
Conflicts.
If you
That
would.
was the word I was
Okay.
looking for. It really reflects on it. It's a reflection to that generation, which hence is the next gen. So it was our honor to be a part of that.
Well, have you ever said no to a vet?
Never.
You've never told me no.
Dad never told me no.
Oh,
either.
told me no.
are you kidding? If I said the word no, on a sunny, clear day like today, a bolt of lightning would be sent down from my father going, I didn't teach you to say no. But no, it's the vets, first responders, the Boy Scout troops, we have them here on occasions,
Yeah.
Girl Scout cookies, you can't just take from the community, you have to give back. And that's
And
been my whole
Waldo's
thing
and you
for
have been
15 years.
very, very generous
Yeah.
to us.
And the Driftwood Resort. Anytime, there's a veteran fundraiser going on, and the Driftwood is always willing to put up a room as a donation, so we can do a package deal where you get dinner for two and a night stay. What better place to stay than the Driftwood?
That's great. That's great.
It
Yeah,
is.
it is.
Yeah.
Hey, how can you beat it? I got to comment on the ocean again, man. It's just gorgeous.
It is the
Sun
perfect,
just reflecting off of it.
the perfect environment for a podcast.
Oh, absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely.
But he was kind enough when I asked him.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah,
He didn't
sure.
say no.
Right? You didn't say no, right? So anytime I need something from Waldo's, I'm gonna have Curtis ask Lee or Vic ask Lee, and then I know that I'll
Well,
get-
you can just call me directly.
All right.
More than likely, I won't say no to you.
I love it. I'm not a veteran, but
That's okay.
But I do want to thank all of you guys and your
Yeah.
father and anybody that's gone to into the service and really protected our freedoms here in this country, because I do feel like that a lot of us take a lot of that for granted, and without you guys, trust me, this would be a very, very different world that we would be living in.
Well-
Keep in mind that even after the war stops and they come home, our feeling has always been that we don't leave a veteran behind, not on the battlefield and not on the homeland.
We're still serving. That's
Yes.
the way I look
That's
at
Well,
it.
exactly, and the war doesn't end in their mind when the plane lands. There's
Correct.
still so much work to be done with so many veterans that come back and deal with PTSD and homelessness, which to me is just absurd. But that's for a whole nother podcast. But also, I mentioned my dad graduating from Kings Point, but I also want to honor my brother and my oldest nephew. 3 Bob Olsons all graduated from Kings Point.
Wow.
Yeah, and we missed it by one generation. There was one family that had 4 generations that graduated from Kings Point. But it's always an honor and always a pleasure to have you guys here. And call me anytime. I'm not going to say no.
Thank you very
We know, we know.
Well, Lee, thank you for letting us shoot this podcast here.
Absolutely,
Curtis
guys.
and Vic, thank you for coming and being guests with us.
Thanks,
Thanks.
I appreciate
Yeah,
it,
good
buddy.
luck with the golf
And I too
tournament.
do,
Good luck
brother.
with
Appreciate it.
everything
Again,
with the
that's
Veterans Council.
June 18th, 07 check-in.
That's 7 o'clock.
8 o'clock, shotgun start, Sandridge, June 18th. Love to see you all there. Oh, the price, $75. That includes your luncheon and your 18 holes. And then afterward, we have the luncheon over at the fairgrounds, which will include all the gifts and all the great things that Lee gave us.
And keep in mind that only the team leaders need to check in, and there'll be a booth out there for them to check in. So that will get its processing a lot faster.
VVIRC.org/events.
Yep, both courses.
We almost-
VVIRC.org/events. And then what was the phone number again if they want to call?
772-538-2484.
And 862-794-0005.
All right. Well, good luck with the golf tournament. Again, June 18th.
Roger.
Sandridge. And thank you guys again. We appreciate it. And again, Lee,
Appreciate
I can't thank you enough, man. Thanks.
And,
Thank you.
And everybody enjoy the air show this weekend.
Oh.
Oh,
We'll be
yeah.
there.
All right.
Yeah,
We're hoping the winds work in our direction where we can sit here and watch the show from.
and I'm hoping my windows don't rattle too much when they fly over.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks again, guys.
All right, guys.
Yep.
Thanks, Chris.